There's something I think we need to talk about in creative spaces right now, especially among writers and artists. AI accusations. So before I dive into that, stick around until the end where I'll talk about situations where I've personally been involved in, where what's been perceived as AI never even was AI, situations where I could have been wrong if I'd said anything. We'll also talk about how to stay clear of any misunderstandings in your own work. It's actually happened to a few of my author friends and colleagues, and it did irreparable damage to their careers and even friendships. I've seen more and more authors and artists being publicly accused of using generative AI, often with very little evidence. Sometimes it's just a feeling you get, sometimes it's because someone's style has changed, or maybe they just don't like their work or the person. But once that accusation is out there, it spreads fast. What I don't think some people fully realize is just how heavy that accusation actually is. You're not just questioning someone's process, you're potentially damaging their career, their reputation, their income, and that doesn't stop with them. It affects their families, stability, their sense of purpose, and what brought them to that art. And the most uncomfortable part is most of the time the people joining in don't actually know. They're just guessing, they're speculating. They're piling on because it just feels like they're on the right side or because outrage travels faster. It's not accountability, that's just gossip with real consequences. And here's the irony. When you create an environment where creators are constantly suspected, constantly doubted, attacked, where there's no explanation and no defense is accepted, you're not protecting the craft at all. You're actually damaging it. Because think about it for a second. If someone knows they'll be accused no matter what they do, if their passion is met with suspicion instead of support, why would they keep fighting for the purity of their work? Some people will disengage completely. Others will think, if I'm going to be accused anyway, why should I keep struggling? And that's how we lose artists. Not because AI exists, but because the space became hostile. Now, let me be clear. Being thoughtful and critical is important. Asking questions is healthy. Wanting transparency is reasonable. When we do cover reveals, we share the artist name. But there is a huge difference between responsible inquiry and public accusation. So if you don't know something to be true, don't present it as truth. Because once an accusation is out there, you can't fully take it back anyway. Even if it's disproven later, the damage lingers. A friend of mine happened exactly like that. They did show proof. It was too late. Screenshots circulate, whispers remain, and opportunities quietly disappear. And a lot of creators never fully recover from that, not emotionally or creatively. If we genuinely want authors and artists to stay committed to their craft, to keep doing the slow, difficult, deeply human work of creating, then we also have the responsibility on our side. Support matters, trust, good faith. That doesn't mean blind acceptance, of course. It means restraint and context. It means understanding that creativity is messy, styles change, people grow, output evolves. And it means remembering that behind every book or project, illustration, piece of artwork, there is a person, not a machine. We absolutely should have serious conversations about AI, but those conversations need to be grounded carefully because we are humans, not driven by fear or by speculation, and not driven by social media pile-ons, of course. So before you accuse someone, maybe pause, I'll do the same. Ask yourself what you actually know. I mean, what happens if you're wrong? Are you really protecting the craft or actually harming the people who give their lives to their craft? Because once trust is gone, passion often follows. And if we care about art at all, we should care about protecting it. So some examples of how I've been wrong in thinking something's AI. A quick way of seeing whether someone might be using AI is their publishing schedule. So if you see an author who's never had any books published, or maybe one every 3 years, and now all of a sudden there's a book a month. They've written or published 6 books in the last 8 months, kind of thing. But then I realized, because it happened to us, where we published or republished a series. The author self-published them over the course of 2 or 3 years. We took over the series, edited them, and relaunched them basically a month apart. So if you go on the Amazon page, it's going to look like there was one book published every month, which kind of screams AI, but it isn't. So maybe that happens to other authors as well. When we have a trilogy, for instance, we will actually schedule the books so that they are released 2 months apart. But the books actually took 3 or 4 or even 5 years to write. It's all about not publishing a book, having your fans wait 3 years for the sequel. That doesn't work. So there might be instances where something, it looks kind of fishy that it could be AI assisted or written, where it isn't. Another example is when an author dies, someone takes over their backlist. So someone is in charge of every book they've ever written, and they might relaunch that backlist. They could be working on it for years, and now they're ready to launch, and they're doing a book a month kind of deal. We're working on similar situations right now. And you don't want to wait too long. You want to make it like this is the year of that author. You want to, because most likely their family is in need of the financial income. Maybe the author is still alive and they're in the sick bed and they need as much money as they possibly can get. So we try and get good quality workers out as fast as possible, because they already wrote the books. The content, the creation is there. It just needs a bit of fine tuning and like presentation, cover, that stuff. So you don't want accusations flying around, especially in the case of for those people. So my point is, in the end, it might not be AI itself that destroys us, but how we as humans treat each other. So let's just not have that happen.